we're only at the very beginning of what the blockchain and more broadly what distributed ledger technologies are going to be able to do in the world of trade and in the world of business in general. I think when you look at the trends and what's happening in the world, decentralization, moving into trustless-based systems that enable faster transaction processing, increase efficiency and increase demand of efficiency from both capital and physical infrastructure is creating a lot of opportunities for companies to innovate, to think about how to disrupt different sectors using blockchain technology. And we think, trade finance is one of them, and essentially financial services in general. At the same time, as I mentioned before, supply chain management. How do we create traceability from origin to end consumer? And at the same time, how do you create systems that enable better data processing and better understanding of markets such that trading itself can be done more efficiently and faster. And I think looking at the future, if I can summarize it, I would say a faster speed of doing business is what's going to be driven by blockchain and by the new services, I guess, that are going to be enabled by distributed ledger technologies. We live in an increasingly fragmented world. Things such as the shared economy are creating increasingly more modular approaches to businesses. The franchise model is getting broken up. And so as we grow and as different economies grow and go in different directions around the world, the way in which you establish trust and the way in which you connect with each other is becoming very important. Things such as blockchain technology can break through cultural barriers and create, again, trustless processes of reaching agreements and of reaching consensus, basically. And so I think that's actually quite revolutionary, I guess, and it's the idea on which a lot of these new projects are being built on. I think within the UAE and in Dubai specifically, DMCC as a free zone authority, we've already started to provide licenses for companies to operate in blockchain and distributed ledger services, and to be able to do things such as development of infrastructure and solutions in this space. So in the medium to longer term, I guess we expect many more companies to actually come to experiment, to innovate, and to develop new solutions. In that sense, I think the real challenge is that it's still very early days, and so I think we all need to take a step back and look at what are the opportunities, the fact that there's going to be some growing pains. Not everything is going to be a success, and there's going to be a lot of difficult lessons that we need to learn over the next couple of years. On the other side, I think there's also the possibility to have some really interesting new technologies and potentially transformational ways in which we do business in both trading markets, in the way in which we essentially engage with markets, what's generally referred to as crowd-based capitalism, so kind of just-in-time supply and demand of goods and services. And so it's really exciting, but like I said, we're at the very beginning of this process, so probably a lot of learning before we see some real solutions and we see some real progress in the market as well. Definitely, I think what Dubai is doing is game-changing in terms of its commitment to developing services on a blockchain or distributed ledger infrastructure. I think in the future, a lot of the steps that the government is taking today may serve as a pilot for future governments to adopt as well. I think what blockchain also does in these peer-to-peer networks is they show the value of interconnectedness and to creating these trustless systems where essentially the network is supported by its own users. And I think in that sense, what Dubai is looking to do, I think, is to be one of the early adopters of the technology. But the real value will come from its widespread adoption, especially as it relates to Dubai working with a lot of its partners in terms of Africa, India, and the East, and a lot of the geographies with which it does business, where I think the bigger opportunities will also come from.